Hi everyone, and welcome to Creative Chelsea. Today I'm excited to share with you my July 2022 Artisan Design Team Project. I was asked to use the Heavenly Hollyhocks Bundle from Stampin Up. This bundle includes the Heavenly Hollyhocks stamp set. It's got some really beautiful, quick and easy floral images. And then the layering hollyhocks dies. And these dies are truly amazing. And we're going to be using them in some fun ways today. These products are in the 2022-2023 annual catalog and online. To purchase any of these products, please visit my online store and the link is below in the description. Today's cards are quick and easy and have a fun tone-on-tone technique. I love the color combinations. They are fresh and bright. I hope you stick around and watch me make these cards. If you are new to my channel and want to see more of my videos, click on the subscribe button and then the bell for notifications. I would love to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and help you with any of your paper crafting needs. To order any of the products you will see me use today, you can visit my online store, and that link again is below in the description. Today's cards have a lot of stamping, so I'm really excited to just jump right in and get stamping. We're going to do the backgrounds first for both of our cards, and then we'll move on to the other images. So the background here is a mint macaron, and we're going to stamp tone on tone. So I've got my mint macaron ink pad, and I'm going to start with my larger leaf image first. And you can see here that when you stamp tone on tone, you're going to get a little darker image on that cardstock. Next, I've got the image that has two leaves and branches together, and just rotate your paper as you create a fun pattern in the background. And then last, I've got the tiny little branch. And you don't really need to fill it up, but you do want a nice variety around your cardstock. Perfect. So the next color we're using for our second card is Crumb Cake. And for this one, we're going to do the background a little differently. Instead of covering the whole background with our stamped images, we're going to really focus them kind of behind our main image. So you just kind of keep them to this left side of the card front. You don't really want too much on the right. But you really can add these little tiny flowers together to make a larger statement. So just pick a couple spots to add them. You kind of just want them peeking out from underneath the vellum. Let's do another couple right here. Okay, so maybe something like that. I also want to add some splattering to the background of both of these. So I've got my Crumb Cake Stampin' Right marker, and on the brush tip, I'm just going to flick it from the lid out onto my paper. I just love the fine mist that this gives to my projects. And then I'm going to repeat that with the mint macaron. And you can do as much or as little as you want. So now we're going to continue with our tone-on-tone stamping. So I've got Blushing Bride ink and Blushing Bride cardstock, and I'm going to stamp these large hollyhock flowers. And I'm going to do 2 of these so I can get 6 flowers. When you do tone on tone, you want to make sure that you have a nice full ink pad. So you may need to add some re-inker to your ink pad so that you have plenty of ink. The next color we're going to do is Fresh Freesia, and this is for our second card. And I'm stamping the medium flower on some fresh freesia cardstock. We're going to stamp again some more leaves and branches in mint macaron. So for this one, I'm going to do a large, and let's also do the small. And that's for card number 2. Card number 1 uses some of the die cuts, and we'll do that on this extra side here. And then we have So Saffron, and this is actually the only color that we're not doing tone on tone. So all of these other colors were the same color of cardstock with the same color of ink. But for this one, I wanted the ink to be a little darker, and so I'm using crushed curry on some So Saffron cardstock. And I'm going to do 2 sets of these flowers. Yellow can be a little tricky, and so we want to make sure we've got a nice bold flower on that cardstock. So I've got my Memento black ink, and inside these hollyhocks we can stamp this cute little tiny circles, and it's going to give us this really nice little detail for the center. So I'm going to do that with my Memento black, and it doesn't really matter where it is, just place it in the center of each flower. You may want to rotate your stamp or your paper so that you get a little different stamp each time. So those are the Blushing Bride flowers. I'm going to do the same thing to my Fresh Freesia flower. And if you wanted to, you could even do the same thing to the yellows. I'm going to keep those, the centers empty there. For my greetings, I'm also going to stamp these in Memento Black. And I've got You Make My Life Brighter, and then Hello. Some of the other greetings in this stamp set are Sending Get Well Wishes Your Way, It's Time to Celebrate You, and Many Thanks. The layering hollyhocks dies are actually these really beautiful, delicate, detailed dies that you can layer on top of one another and create some really beautiful images. So we are using this detailed die here, and we're also going to be using the leaves dies, but there are no dies that will cut out the stamped images. So I'm going to go ahead and put these other ones back, and we're going to fussy cut out our shapes. So you can do this nice and quick. They're pretty basic shapes and easy to cut out. A couple key things when you are fussy cutting: keep your scissors in the same place and move the paper instead of the scissors. So cutting out these images is actually quite quick and easy since the petals are so fluid, and you don't have to be exact with how close you get to the image because of the way that this image has been stylized. Okay, so there we go. So our next step is to cut out the dies. So I love to use the adhesive sheets when I am cutting out detailed dies like this. So what you do is you just cut a piece of adhesive sheet down to the size you think you need and add it to the back of your cardstock, and then you run your die through the top and it will cut it out. And what's really nice is you can use it on vellum and it doesn't show through. So I'm just going to add it to a piece of vellum that's about 3¼ inches by 6 inches. And then I'm going to use this beautiful, delicate die and cut that out. All right, so I'm going to run this through here. These are the leaves and branches, and I'm using it on our first card, and I need about 5 of them in total. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that, as well as cut out this piece. So a couple tips when you're running your dies through. if you run it through 3 times. So that means you run it through, but don't take it out. And then right as you feel the pressure kind of ease up on your machine, just flip your handle and go the other way and do that 3 times. And it makes it so that these come out a lot easier from the die. And then the other thing is to use the brush tip from the Take a Pick tool. And that really helps pull these dies, like these little pieces of paper out of the dies, as well as out of the paper itself. So anyway, this is really helpful when you're trying to work with these really delicate dies. So here is the vellum piece. It looks white, but that's just because of the backing from the adhesive. All right, so we have just a couple other things that we need to cut. There's this beautiful vellum frame that I've added to my card. And I've cut some vellum using this rectangle frame from the Fabulous Frames dies. So I'm just going to run that through, and then we're going to use that centerpiece for the background of our other card. All right, so those are done. And let's go ahead and start making our card. Let's do the mint macaron card first. So I've got my card base, and I'm just going to fold along the score line and use a bone folder. Then I'm going to add our card front. And I forgot to mention what size this card front is. It is 1/8 of an inch smaller than my card base. So that is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Just going to add that to the card base, and there will be a slight border around it. Because I used liquid glue, I'm going to smooth that glue out so I don't get any bumps. So next I'm going to add my frame, and I'm going to use some glue dots. So you may see these through the vellum, but I'm not too worried about it. You can add some little details if you want over it. So go ahead and lay those down, and I'm adding that at an angle. So now we're going to add our flowers. And if you want to give your flowers a little bit of a 3-dimensional feeling, you can take your bone folder and curl around the edges. Now, these particular flowers don't have like petals that you could curl at different angles, but we're just creating kind of a bowl shape. And I'm going to do that to all of these flowers, and I'm actually not going to add these with dimensionals. They're going to just get added right to the card base. So let's start with the 2 large ones. I'm going to add just a little liquid glue right there in the center so that I can let those edges that I've just curled up kind of poke up and out. So we're kind of focusing down the center of the card. So just kind of keep your flowers in that general area. So I've just got these 2 here. I might pull this one up just a little bit. Bring that one down. Okay, so that's how I'm going to start adding these cute flowers. Then make sure to separate your medium and smalls. So you're going to want to put 1 medium and 1 small at the top and then at the bottom. So I think this is the medium one, and I'm going to add this near the top, kind of overlapping the frame there, and then take a small and tuck it in between, kind of like that. So you're kind of creating this little hollyhock bundle of flowers. Since they kind of grow vertically on the stems, that's kind of what we're looking for here. So place the medium one underneath that large one there, and then we're going to offset it slightly with the small one. Okay, so just like that. I think it's a nice looking arrangement. And then you can take the die cuts, and from the bottom stem, you can pull off the paper, and then just go ahead and tuck those in between your flowers and mix and match the large with the small. So I have another large one that I'm going to add up here, and you can have them overlap your flowers. And then another couple over here. And I'm going to do a large and a small. On my original, I had 2 smalls, but you can, like I said, mix and match them. I love the textures and the fun background. It's a beautiful card. All right, so then for our greeting, I need to cut that out, and I wanted to use another one of the Fabulous Frames dies. And I'm going to add it with dimensionals on the back right here. And I'm going to place it so it's even with the card. Super cute. So we do have some embellishments that we'll add after we're done with the second card. So on this card, we've got a card base of crumb cake, and I forgot to score it. So I'm just going to go ahead and fold so the corners match, and then use my bone folder. I'm going to add my card front, just like we did. This is the same size as the mint macaron. It is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So there'll be a slight border around the card as well. And then smooth that out. So for this one, we're using that inside rectangle that was cut from the frame. And we're going to take our large detailed hollyhocks die cut. And the nice thing about this is it really makes it so that you can't see the adhesive underneath. So you're just going to lay this onto that rectangle. You're going to have some of it pop off. Let's see, we need to put a little bit of pressure to get that to stick. So from the back, I'm just going to use my bone folder. There we go. So that's adhered now. And then I'm going to take my paper snips and trim off any excess that comes beyond the border of that rectangle. And this is going to give us kind of a faux embossed look to our vellum. I kind of love that look. And then we can add this to our card, and you can use a little bit of liquid adhesive or glue dots. I'm just going to place them, a little bit of liquid adhesive behind some of the larger elements, and add that to my card. And you can see how those stamped images that we've added kind of peek through the vellum. So now we're ready to add the other elements, and I'm going to use liquid adhesive behind these elements. I'm going to start with this larger flower. I'm going to place it over the large flower on that delicate die, and this is also going to help hold that die in place. Then I'm going to take my large yellow and tuck that in on the left, and take one of the small yellows and add that near the first one. Then I'm going to take some of the leaves and tuck them in near the top of my purple flower. I'm going to overlap this small one to the large one. Okay. And then I'm going to add the smallest little yellow flower right there as well. Then with the greeting, I have already cut them all out and added a little bit of liquid adhesive, and I'm going to add them to my card. And again, this is going to help hold everything in place. So we've got make. I'm going to add a little bit higher so there's room for the life. And here I've got you. And they don't need to go on straight. They can have some, be at an angle. So you make my life brighter. I'm going to bring brighter up just a little bit. It's one of the nice things about using liquid adhesive is you do have some time to manipulate those images before they dry completely. So cute. And that was really easy to just fussy cut out. So now we can add our embellishments. So for this card, I wanted a little bit of some twine. So I've got my linen thread, and it's a little bit of a larger bow. So I'm going to cut maybe about 11 inches of that. You can see that it's super curly. So if you need to loosen up that curl, just run it through your finger and it will loosen up so that you can tie a bow. And then we're just going to add this bow with a glue dot near our flower. So these glue dots are a little big for that. So what you can do is just fold them on top of itself to make it a little bit smaller, and then that will fit that linen thread knot a little better so you don't have too much adhesive showing. And then just kind of slide it right near that purple flower. Super cute. And then I wanted to add some really fun iridescent pearls. And so I've got these, and I'm just going to use my pair of paper snips to lift them off and then add them. So I've got a couple here on my mint macaron. There are two sizes to these. There are a large and a small. And then for this one, I'm going to do 5. So a couple big one and a small one, and then another large one and small one near the top. And your cards are all done. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching me create these fun cards using the Heavenly Hollyhocks Bundle and tone-on-tone stamping. If you're interested in seeing written instructions or close-up images, you can visit my blog, creativechelsea.com. To order any of the supplies you've seen me use today, you can visit my online store using the link in the description below. Thanks so much for watching. Have a creative day. Bye.